Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. So you just purchased a new racket after taking some time to demo a bunch. So in your mind, this is your new mate. This is your new girlfriend. This is the racket you chose to marry now. What is going to happen? Okay, I can tell you what's going to happen. You go out and play with it, and are you gonna like it? Are we gonna divorce? Are we gonna break up? Are we gonna go to racket counseling? What's your next step? Stay tuned. So I hear this every day. I even went through it myself, okay? So I personally played with this Wilson racket for 14 years, okay? Not in great condition anymore, but I had a few of these and this is the only one I had left. So as you can see, it is a Wilson 4.4 Ti titanium. It started off like at a 10-ounce racket, and you know, I'd dump a crap load of lead on it, as you can see, through the top and on the sides, and there's strips in the handle. So this thing, you know, weighs about 13 ounces when it's all said and done, on the 95-inch head. So it's a mid plus 95. 4 5/8 grip. Wherever I could find these, it was a 4.5 or 4 3/8 that I built up to a 5/8, because that's what I used. And I demoed rackets every year. I couldn't find anything better, so I kept running with it. Okay, so through the years, I used a pure drive, or I tried to switch to a pure drive, but I couldn't do it. Right? I went to a pure drive tour. Right? Tried that for a month or two. I couldn't do it. Okay? A year later, I thought I could do the pure arrow tour. Right? I literally bought 2 rackets, you know, weighed them up, and, you know, went through the whole process. Couldn't do it, right? The backhand had all sorts of problems. Serve had all sorts of problems. Does that sound familiar to you? Are you going through this kind of withdrawal, right? Because after 13 to 14 years of playing with whatever you're playing with, you know, having to relinquish it or change to something else is kind of like losing your right arm. You know, your security blanket, your security racket is now gone, and you got some foreign object that you're gonna be taking the racket out, you know, which is what you call your new racket now, out to the court, and it just doesn't feel the same, right? So don't fret, guys. It's normal. It's normal. And you wouldn't believe how many people I've counseled through this, because the normal course of action is just like what happened to me, right? You've always had your security blanket with you, so I always kept these rackets in my bag in case of an emergency. That emergency comes up all the freaking time when you're changing rackets, sometimes. So I get it. I get it. You're attached at the hip to your old racket. But now that you've got your new racket, it may be time to move on. And that racket, to me, came on when this Burn 100 was produced. So this is the Burn 100 in the special limited edition orange. You guys know I like orange, so, but in the first generation before the limited edition, it was black with the orange sides. So I had to get the orange frame because I just love orange. But aside from the color, right, I felt that this racket was as close to this one as we're ever going to get. After 14 years of struggling to find a new racket, I mean, I was literally buying these off of eBay for $50 to $60, cleaning them up and getting them ready for me to play with. Now, 95-inch head, 100 head. So that was a pretty big adjustment for me to gain a little more power. So this racket was heavy enough to start where I could make that adjustment. It was the only racket that I didn't go back to my bag and use this one and say, yeah, this isn't any better, I'm gonna keep going with this one, right? But it took 14 years to find though. So if you're in that predicament where you just got a new racket after demoing a bunch and you're playing with an old racket, I get it. The first month I got this, right, I struggled with it a little bit. You know, I had too much power, my backhand wasn't quite where it is, right? The main thing that I didn't have was my serve. Now, I know 8 out of 10 people who walk out of here and buy a new racket says, my serve isn't going in. Well, yes, of course it's not going in. You don't hit 1,000 serves a day, right? You probably hit over 1,000 forehands a day. You probably hit over 1,000 backhands a day. Do you go out and take a bucket of balls and hit like 10 buckets a day? Nobody does. So a serve will always come in last because we don't practice it enough. So, but it will eventually go in. You will have a stellar serve again. Just practice it. It's all timing, all muscle memory. Your shoulders and your arm is used to the old frame. Therefore, anything new in there throws off the timing. So, does that make sense? So when you find your new mate, right, your new racket, it's going to take time to adjust. So for some people it's more difficult than others. Now, when I went from this racket to this Clash Pro or Clash Tour, right, it didn't take that long. I pretty much kind of fell in like pretty much immediately. Like it, although these are two different rackets, there was something about this racket that was kind of instantaneous. I knew that I was gonna like this racket. I liked the way it felt. All the shots were kind of working pretty much off the bat. So in some instances, the adjustment is going to be easier. So share with me your instances. Like, are you one of those people who, can pretty much play with any racket and it doesn't matter? Or are you very sensitive to change, like me? So even with this Clash Pro, Clash Tour, I still had to make slight adjustments. The serve, again, wasn't quite there. The volley wasn't quite there. Because of how this racket flexes, I had to actually get a little more weight into each volley. So, whenever we switch rackets, that's gonna happen. You're gonna be missing a couple things. You'll have to change the way you play, the way your strokes are a little bit to get what you're looking for. But that's not a bad thing. It's kind of like, you moved on from your ex-girlfriend, got a new one, hey, it's gonna be a little different, okay? Might be a little more exciting, could be a little more dull, but depends what you're looking for in your life. So guys, it's okay. Okay, I get it. You want to hold on to the old racket, but sometimes we guys got to let it go. If we love it, we have to let it go, right? Move on, right? And sometimes you move on again to the new one, right? It's just natural, okay? I get it. I feel like a therapist every day sometimes when people walk in and do the same thing to me, okay? So change, it's just part of life, okay? Roll with it. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin. where we put our spin on your tennis.